All right, this is my sawmill. As you know, I'm redoing the head, but I wanted to show you a couple things that I like about the mill. They're manual, but they work out well. The main one here is the log clamp. Okay, so you got the log clamps on this side, and there's the stop and the clamps, or well, the stops, I guess, on the other side here. All right, so the log always pushes to that side and is clamped by these manual clamps right here. What I like about them is I can move them anywhere. I've got two of them. I got one here and I've got one over here, but I can put them anywhere on this bed. And so I didn't want to make 10 different log clamps on here to have in every different spot. I just wanted to have a couple of these that I can move around at will. Very easy to move, as they just clamp onto the bottom of my rail here. And this is just a piece of angle that I've kind of fashioned with a bolt here that tightens them down. Everybody's rail would be different, so this just happens to be mine. It's an old fork truck rail. All right, this is just a piece of angle iron. There's a little rod that sticks into this pipe here, all right, on either side. You can see there's the other side over there. This actually comes apart. This and this pipe are not welded together. They're just there together because of the virtue of this being clamped on there. So I could weld this together, but it's not, okay? And then this pipe here is like an inch and a quarter pipe, I think, something like that. You got a pipe here that's 3 inches long. The key is to not have this too long, because when you pull back on this log clamp, or you put pressure on there, you want this to bind, okay? You want to be able to pull back on here, all right? Pull back on there, and it binds down there and doesn't move. So it works out great at about 3 inches. Then, oops, I'm dropping this here. What I got down below here is just basically another square tube, okay? So this square tube here is, again, 3 inches long, and all this gobbledygook in here is just me trying to reinforce that, welding a square to a round, all right? This square tubing here is about 1.25 inches by 1.25 inches, and I've got a piece of kind of a channel type thing. It's almost like a square tubing with one side cut off of it. It happens to fit perfectly over my square tubing. So as you can see, there's a bolt down here, which is the pivot point of this, and then this acts as a cam here. So how I built this was taking a 1.5 inch round stock and drilling a hole off center in the round stock, and then cutting it into slices. Okay, so I cut slices out of it, 1/2 inch wide slices, enough to, be plenty for this here. I mean, you can see where it's started to wear here, but that's not a big deal. Yeah, eventually, I suppose, right? Put some grease on it or something, right? But anyway, it's off center, and then all this is welded together here. So both of these, this piece is solid. This whole thing is solid, right? And so all you do is you just kick this up against there, kick up the bottom, which is hard to do with one hand, and then cam this in like that. All right, you cam that in, and that log is now nice and tight. And there's enough flex in this pipe, and that really helps you keep the log tight. That actually helps this here, that flex in the pipe. This is nice and tight, really nice and tight. You can see on the top, I've got some little teeth there. Let me pull this back off here just to show, okay? The little lip here, this doesn't even stick out 1/4 inch, maybe 1/8 of an inch, hardly that. I just put that little lip on there so you can come along and, with your blade and just graze above the top of that when you're cutting, and really hold on to the log down to the nth degree with this thing. So overall, I really like these log clamps. Well, let me tell you too, the overall length of this thing from here up to there is about 20 some inches, I think. Let me just, yep, it's about 20 inches, all right? This piece here, just to give a point of reference, is about 7¼ inches, okay? So that is that, and sorry, my breath is going by the camera here. Then on this side here, which is the fixed side, I've got really 2 stages that I use for clamping, or stops, I should say. Stops is really the right word. Okay, one is this. Okay, these things rotate up and they rotate all the way down out of the way. So there's 1, 2, and then if I go over to the other side here, there's a third one right there. I could actually have another one of those in here because sometimes if you're doing a really short log, and I'd like to be able to do that once in a while, it would be handy to have 2 of them real close together. But those work fairly well. I'm not super excited about it, but it has worked so far. Can't complain. I have a cable that goes all the way to the back there, and I can just pull on the cable and that raises those up. The thing that I do like over here is once I have a log squared off and I get a square section on this side, the log always pushes all the way to this little stop right here. And you can see I've got rails on here, but then I added these 3-inch, they're just 3-inch tall channels that I can move around anywhere. I've got holes in every one of these rails. Okay, there's holes right there. There's another one. I've got 3 of these, and they sit on here. Got a pipe for the holes. This little stop right here, log stops against this. It's maybe about 1/2 inch tall, something like that. So you can skim right down to this guy, and if you really want, you can, put a board or something kind of underneath here and raise the log up. There's ways to cheat it and get the last piece out, right? Without risking your blade. What I also like about this is that since this is inset just a little bit, my blade guides can ride along right through here, all right? So my blade guides will ride along on the outside of these and just on the outside of this here. That one blade guide on this side. And that one stays fixed. And so I can really get down to the nubs. Anyway, those are just 2 aspects of the mill manual, of course, but that I think work fairly handy, and I see other people have all kinds of different ideas on log clamps and stops and so on, but this right here, I really like. This right here, maybe not quite as much. I would someday think of reinventing this wheel, but it does work. This one over here for a manual operation works excellent. I've been really pleased with this. So, a couple ideas. Enjoy.